In the latter days of autumn, the hardwoods cast down their colorful crowns, blanketing the forest floor in a pleasant rust of sorts. On our journey to the cabin site, we discovered that the leaves weren't the only thing to have fallen in recent days. Two poplars had laid themselves across our trail. Nothing a little chainsaw work couldn't take care of. I'd like to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's episode and for helping make what we do here on YouTube possible. Skillshare is an online community for creators with thousands of classes in design, business, and more. Premium memberships give you unlimited access so you can join the classes and communities that are just right for you. I've currently been enjoying Amy Vitale's course on documentary photography. If you're interested in trying Skillshare out for yourself, I encourage you to click on the link in the description, especially since Skillshare is giving away a free 2-month unlimited access trial to my subscribers who click the link in the description box. And after that, it's only around $10 a month. Whether you want to fuel your curiosity, creativity, or even career, Skillshare is the perfect place to keep you learning and thriving. My dad and I just placed the Ridgepole, and it feels so good to see it sitting all the way up there. It's a momentous occasion, to say the least. It took a lot of planning and a lot of thought to do it safely and easily, but I couldn't be happier with how it turned out. As I said in my last episode, my dad and I would love to take a step back just to admire our handiwork and to take a short break, but we have to keep going because winter is right on our doorstep. If you look at the trees behind me, the leaves are gone, and in the forecast at the end of this week, they're calling for snow. And I don't think the snow is going to stay, but sooner or later, the snow will stick to the ground, and it will stay, and it will begin to accumulate. So before that happens, my dad and I are pushing to get this roof covered so that it won't be snowed in this winter. So there's still plenty of work to do. If you look behind me, you'll see that there hasn't been much that has changed on the cabin just yet since my last episode, but I assure you I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that when we put the purlins on, that everything will line up the way it should. The challenge with the purlins is they are 31 feet long, and at their widest end, they are about 12 to 14 inches in diameter, and they taper all the way down to about 5 inches at the end. And so that's quite a difference from end to end, which means that I have to calculate it up here. First of all, I need to take off these temporary braces that I have put up for bringing up the ridgepole, but I don't think that they're strong enough to hold the purlins. At least they're not to my satisfaction. So I'm going to remove these braces one at a time, and as I remove one, I'll replace it with a more sturdy permanent brace, and these permanent braces are what the purlins are going to rest on. And so I've been taking my time to select them, to get them cut up on the sawmill. As well, I'm sitting on the pile of rafters that I've just recently trimmed up and gotten rid of all the knots and everything. So although it doesn't look like I've done much since the last episode, I've finished prepping the rafters. I've finished doing all the measurements I need for putting in the permanent bracing. Then I have to get the purlins up, of course. Another thing that I have to work on today is finding myself a proper boulder. You might be able to see over my shoulder here that the E-vlogs and the ridgepole stick out about 7 feet. In fact, they do stick out 7 feet. I might cut that overhang back to 5 feet, but I'm not sure just yet. But what I want to do is put some posts under the overhanging ends of the E-vlogs just to give them some added strength. So to make sure that these posts have a proper footing, I'll be putting boulders underneath them. The good news is that I already have a perfect boulder here on site. It's not too big, it's flat on top. It'll be perfect to have the post sitting on top of. Now I just need the second boulder. And I have a second boulder here at the cabin site, but I'm not so sure if I'm going to use it just yet. I think I need to take a look at it first. Although this boulder could work in a pinch, I decided to head out on the tractor to check on another one that lay beside the trail. At the edge of a clearing, I spotted a newcomer to the area. A bald eagle. He isn't the only wanderer to grace this tract of woodland in recent days. An 8-point buck has also made a few fleeting appearances on the trails I travel. There is a commonality shared between the three of us, the eagle, the buck, and I. We're all searching for something. The eagle searches for fish in waters that have not yet frozen over. The buck searches for a mate. And myself? I'm just looking for a boulder. Not that one though. Smaller. Much smaller. This one seemed promising, small and flat. Now, of course, boulders can be deceiving. Sometimes, what you see is what you get, but other times, the majority of their mass is hidden below ground. The only way I can know for sure was to pull the boulder ahead a couple feet. Turns out, it was an iceberg boulder, being that most of it was below the surface. I decided to leave it there, in favor of using the second boulder I already had at the build site. My little expedition felt like wasted time, but on the other hand, I wouldn't have known if I didn't check. 2 days later, the first snowfall arrived. Am I going to get the roof covered in time? Your guess is as good as mine. But the good news is, we'll both find out by the next episode. Until then, my friends,